Hello, welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fleet Command as we go over the reference materials. And just so you can appreciate what I just had to go through, I had to go into the registry for this bad boy to get it running again. Because for a reason, it was not seeing my CD and it had it set to the wrong drive. So now that that's fixed, we can go and do Australia today, starting with the Collins class diesel attack sub. Collins SSK, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, section Submarines, country Australia, title Collins class SSK, specifications displacement 3,353 tons submerged, length 254 feet, beam 25.6 feet, draught 23 feet, speed 10 knots surface, 10 knots snorkeling, 20 knots submerged. Range 9,000 miles at 10 knots snorkeling, 11,500 miles at 10 knots surfaced. Complement, 42 of which 6 are officers. Main machinery, diesel electric, 3 type V18B/14 diesels producing 6,020 horsepower or 4.42 megawatts. 3 generators, 4.2 megawatts, 1 motor producing 7,344 horsepower or 5.4 megawatts, 1 shaft, 1 DM43006 hydraulic motor for emergency propulsion. Armament and electronics, missiles, surface-to-surface, sub-launched harpoon, active radar homing to 70 nautical miles at 0.9 Mach. Torpedoes, 6 21-inch or 533mm forward tubes. Holding the Mark 48 Mod 4 torpedo, dual-purpose wire-guided active-passive homing to 21 nautical miles at 55 knots or 27 nautical miles at 40 knots. Air turbine pump discharge, total 22 weapons including the Mark 48 and sub-launched harpoon. Mines, 44 in lieu of torpedoes. Countermeasures, decoys, 2 SSE. ESM, Argo AR-740 radar warning receiver. Radars, navigation type 1007 I-band. Sonars, Scylla active passive bow array and passive flank intercept and ranging arrays. Kariwara, first pair, or Narama, retractable passive towed arrays. Active 3, Collins, Farncombe, and Waller. Here we can see one showing its very small size relative to at least the U.S. nuclear-powered attack subs that I'm used to. And here is the 3D model. Next up, we have the Oberon SSK, publication Jane's Fighting Ships, section Submarines, country Australia, title Oberon class SSK, specifications displacement 2,030 tons surfaced, 2,410 tons submerged. Length 295.2 feet, beam 26.5 feet, draught 18 feet, speed 12 knots surfaced, 17 knots submerged, 11 knots snorkeling. Range 9,000 miles at 12 knots surfaced. Complement 64, which 8 are officers. Main machinery, diesel electric, 2 ASR-16 VVS ASR-1 diesels producing 3,680 horsepower, 2.74 megawatts. And 2 AEI motors producing 6,000 horsepower, 4.48 megawatts, and 2 shafts. Whoop, that is more than I wanted to do. Armament and electronics, missiles, surface-to-surface, sub-launched harpoon, active radar homing to 70 nautical miles at 0.9 Mach. Torpedoes, 6 21-inch or 533-meter bow tubes using high-pressure air discharge. Gold Mark 48 Mod 4 dual-purpose torpedo, wire-guided active passive homing to 21 nautical miles at 55 knots or 27 nautical miles at 40 knots. Never heard of Gold. I wonder if that's the local manufacturer or if that's like their own name for the Mark 48. Countermeasures, decoys, 2 SSDE, ESM, AWA Mavis ODU, radar warning. Radar surface search type 1006 I-band. Sonars type CSU 3-41 bow array, active passive, has intercept and UWT capability. Type 2007 flank array, passive long range. BQQ4 micropuffs, passive range fighting. 2 active, the Onslow and Otama. Next up, we move on to the surface ships, starting with the Perth-class guided missile destroyer. Publication James Fighting Ships Section Destroyers, Country Australia. Title Perth-class DDG, modified Charles F. Adams class. Specifications: displacement 4,618 tons, full load. Length 440.8 feet. Beam 47.1 feet. Draught 20.1 feet. Speed 30 plus knots. Range 6,000 miles at 15 knots, 2,000 miles at 30 knots. Complement 310, of which 25 are officers. Main machinery: 4 Foster Wheeler boilers producing 1,200 psi or 84.37 kilograms per centimeter squared. Operating at 950 degrees Fahrenheit or 510 degrees Celsius. 2 GE turbines producing 70,000 horsepower or 52 megawatts. 2 shafts. Whoa, okay. Armament and electronics: missiles, surface to surface, 4 Harpoon missiles. SAMs: 36 SM-1MR Mark 13 Mod 6 launcher, command guidance, semi-active radar, homing to 25 nautical miles at Mach 2. Dual capability launcher for SSM use as well. Guns: 2 5-inch 127mm 54 caliber Mark 42 Mod 10 automatics, 240 rounds per minute to 13 nautical miles in the anti-surface role, 8 nautical miles anti-aircraft, 2 20mm Mark 15 Vulcan Phalanx cannon, 6 barrels per mounting, 3,000 rounds per minute to 1.5 kilometers, and up to 6 12.7mm machine guns. Torpedoes: 6 324mm Mark 32 Mod 5 tubes in 2 triple sets, launching the Mark 46 Mod 5 torpedo. Anti-submarine active-passive homing to 5.9 nautical miles at 40 knots. Some obsolete Mark 44 torpedoes still in service. Countermeasures: decoys: 2 SRBOC 6-barreled fixed Mark 36 staff and IR flares to 0.6 to 2.2 nautical miles. The NOLCA quad expendable decoy launcher and the SLQ-25 towed torpedo decoy. ESM: the WLR-1H intercept ULQ-6 jammer. Radars: air search SPS-52C in the E and F band, range 240 nautical miles. The SPS-40C E and F band, range 175 nautical miles. Surface search: the SPS-67V operating in the G band. Fire control: 2 SPG-51C operating in G and I band for standard missile system, as well as the SPG-53F operating in the I and J bands for the guns. IFF: Ames Mark 12. Sonars: SQS-23KL hull-mounted active medium frequency with limited bottom bounds capability. Active 3: the Perth, Hobart, and Brisbane. Here we can see one on deployment. And we can see, curiously enough, the missile launcher is mounted to the aft. And then you got the 2 guns, and maybe these are the torpedo launchers. It's kind of hard to tell. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Adelaide frigate. Publication James Fighting Ships Section Frigates, Country Australia. Title Adelaide, modified Oliver Hazard Perry class guided missile frigate. Specifications: displacement 4,100 tons, full load. Length 453 feet. Beam 45 feet. Draught 24.5 feet. Speed 29 knots, 4 on propulsors. Range 4,500 miles at 20 knots. Complement 184, of which 15 are officers plus aircrew. Main machinery is 2 GE LM 2500 gas turbines producing 41,000 horsepower at 30.6 megawatts sustained to 1 shaft with CP prop. 2 auxiliary electric retractable propulsors forward, 650 horsepower or 490 kilowatts. Armament and electronics includes 8 surface-to-surface missiles in the form of Harpoon anti-ship missiles with active radar homing to 70 nautical miles at 0.9 Mach. SAMs include the SM-1MR on the Mark 13 Mod 4 launcher, which allows launch of both SAM and SSMs. Command guidance: semi-active radar homing to 25 nautical miles at Mach 2. 40 missiles combined between SSMs and SAMs. Guns: 1 3-inch 76mm 62 caliber US Mark 75 compact, 85 rounds per minute, up to 9 nautical miles for anti-surface or 6.5 nautical miles anti-aircraft. 1 20mm Mark 15 Vulcan Phalanx anti-aircraft missile or anti-missile system with 6 barrels, 4,500 rounds per minute to 1.5 kilometers, and up to 6 12.7mm machine guns. Torpedoes: 6 324mm Mark 32 and 2 triple tube sets. Launching the Mark 46 Mod 5 torpedo. Anti-submarine active passive homing to 5.9 nautical miles at 40 knots. Some Mark 44 torpedoes are still in service. Countermeasures, decoys, 2 SRBOC Mark 36 chaff and IR decoy launchers, fixed 6-barreled system, range 1 to 4 kilometers, 4 Nolka quad expendable decoy launchers being fitted. SLQ-25 torpedo decoy, ESM and ECM, SLQ-32C intercept and jammer, and the EA-2118 jammer. Radars air search SPS-49 operating in the C-band to a range of 250 nautical miles. Surface search navigation, SPS-55 operating in the I-band. Fire control, SPG-60 operating in I and J bands with a range of 60 nautical miles. Doppler search and tracking, Mark 92 signal WM-28 operating in the I and J band to a range of 25 nautical miles. IFF Ames Mark 12, TACAN URN-25 sonars, SQS-56 hull-mounted active, commercial derivative of DE-1160 series, Kariwara towed passive array in due course. Helicopters, 2 S-70B2 Seahawks or 1 Seahawk, 1 Squirrel. Active, 6. The Adelaide, Canberra, Sydney, Darwin, Melbourne, and Newcastle. Here we can see a Perry-class frigate with a helicopter ready to launch or in the process of being received. And here is the in-game model. Newport, landing ship, tank, publication, Jane's Fighting Ships, section, Amphibious Forces, country, Australia, United States of America, titled Newport Class Tank Landing Ship, LST. Specifications, displacement, 8,450 tons, full load, length, 522.3 feet at the hull, beam, 69.5 feet, draught, 17.5 feet aft, speed, 20 knots, range, 2,500 miles at 14 knots. Complement 257, of which 13 are officers. Main machinery is 6 Alco 16251 diesels, producing 16,500 horsepower, 12.3 megawatts sustained. 2 shafts, CP propellers, bow thruster. Military lift, 400 troops, including 20 officers, or 500 tons of vehicles. 3 LCVPs and 1 LCPL on davits. Armament and electronics, guns, 1 20mm Vulcan Phalanx Mark 15, radar, surface search SPS-67 in the G-band, navigation LN-66 or CRP-3100 Pathfinder on the LST-1194, operate in the I and J band. Helicopters, platform only. Active in Australian service, 2 Canonbla and Minoura in the United States, active 2 Frederick and Lemoore County. There is a picture of one in service, and here we can see the 3D model. This is another old design that certainly is out of US service at this point, and I would imagine probably out of Australian service as well. Huron, Mine Hunter countermeasures, Mine Hunter coastal, okay. Publication, Jane's Fighting Ships, section, Mine Warfare Forces, country, Australia, title, Huron, Gata class. Mine Hunters, Coastal, MHC. Specifications, displacement, 720 tons full load, length 172.2 feet, beam 32.5 feet, draught 9.8 feet, speed 14 knots diesel, 6 knots auxiliary power units, range 1,600 miles at 12 knots, complement 38, of which 6 are officers, plus 11 spare. Main machinery, 1 Fincantieri GMT diesel, producing 1,986 horsepower or 1.46 megawatts, 1 shaft CP prop. 3 Isata Francini 1300 diesels producing 1,440 horsepower or 1,058 kilowatts, 3 electro-hydraulic motors, 506 horsepower or 372 kilowatts, and a Riva Calzoni retractable rotatable auxiliary power unit. Armament and electronics, guns, 1 MSI DS-30B 30mm 75 caliber cannon. Countermeasures, MCM systems, 2 Bofors Tech Double Eagle Mark II mine disposal vehicles with dam dick charges, ADI double Oropesa mechanical sweep, and capable of towing the Australian-developed Mini Dyad influence sweep. Decoys, MEL Aviation Super Barricade chaff launchers. ESM Awadi Prism. Radars, navigation 1007 I-band. Sonars Type 2093 VDS, VLF VHF multifunction with 5 arrays. Mine search and classification. Active 2, the Huon and the Hawkesbury. Oh, did I call this the Huron earlier? Sorry, I should have said Huon. So there we can see it on a cruise, and here we can see the in-game model. Durance AOR, Publication Jane's Fighting Ship, Section Auxiliaries, Country Australia, titled Durance Class Underway Replenishment Tanker AOR. Specifications: displacement 17,900 tons full load, length 515.9 feet, beam 69.5 feet, draught 38.5 feet, speed 19 knots, range 9,000 miles at 15 knots. Complement 212, of which 25 are officers. Main machinery: 2 SEMT peel stick 16 PC 2.5 V400 diesels producing 20,800 horsepower or 15.3 megawatts sustained. 2 shafts with CP props. Cargo capacity 10,200 tons. 8,707. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be gallons or liters. But diesel fuel, I presume, is what that's trying to say. Then you have 975 units of aviation fuel, I believe. 116 units of distilled water, 57 victuals, 250 munitions, including SM-1 missiles and Mark 46 torpedoes, 95 naval stores and spares, armament and electronics, guns, 3 40mm, 2 forward, 1 aft, 4 12.7mm machine guns, radars, navigation, 2 Type 1006 operating in the I-band, helicopters, 1 AS-350B Squirrel, Sea King, or Seahawk. Active 1, the Success. Here we can see it on a cruise with what looks like a Sea King, almost. And there is the 3D model. And it's a very long ship, compared to the rest of Australia's ships at least. And aircraft, we have, excuse me, the FA-18 Hornet, Publication Jane's All the World's Aircraft, Section Aircraft, Fixed Wing Military, Country Australia, United States of America. Title: FA-18 Hornet, Type Carrier-borne Land-Based Attack Fighter. Specifications: Power Plant F404 GE402 EPE Enhanced Performance Engine, standard rated at approximately 78.3 thousand newtons or 17,600 pounds thrust. Length 56 feet 0 inches, height 15 feet 3.5 inches, wingspan 37 feet 6 inches, max takeoff weight 56,000 pounds, max wing load 123.06 pounds per square foot, max level speed more than Mach 1.8, combat ceiling 50,000 feet, takeoff run 1,400 feet, combat air patrol endurance 1 hour 45 minutes at 150 nautical miles from base, ferry range more than 1,800 nautical miles. Armament and electronics, missiles, 9 external weapon stations. Weapons include AIM-7 Sparrows, AIM-9 Sidewinders, AIM-120 AMRAAMs, AGM-84 Harpoons, AGM-65F Maverick, ADM-141 Tall Tactical Air Launch Decoys. Air-to-ground weapons include GBU-10 and GBU-12 laser-guided bombs, Mark 82 and Mark 84 general-purpose bombs, and CBU-59 cluster bombs. Guns: M61 A120mm 6-barrel gun with 570 rounds. Self-defense systems include the ALR-50 radar warning receiver, the ALR-67 radar warning receiver, the ALE-39 chaff dispenser, and the ALQ-126B deception jammers. Radar: APG-65 multimode digital air-to-air, air-to-ground tracking radar. Flight: automatic carrier landing system, or ACLS, for all-weather carrier operations. ARN-118 TACAN DF-301E UHF-DF, ARA-63 receiver decoder. Night Attack AAR-50 thermal imaging navigation set, or TINS, also Cat's Eye night vision goggles, NVGs. Mission 2 AYK-1 4 digital computers. Type 117 laser designator, ASW-25 radio data link, and AAS-38B Nighthawk targeting FLIR. Here we can see a Swiss Hornet in flight, and here is the in-game model, one that we have seen quite a bit of in our in Fleet Command here. P3 Orion, Publication Jane's All the World's Aircraft, Section Aircraft Fixed Wing Military, Country Argentina, Australia, Iran, Japan, United States of America. Well, I guess not Iran anymore, given recent events. Title P3 Orion. Type Land-Based Maritime Patrol and ASW. Specifications Power Plant 4, 3,661 kilowatt or 1,910 horsepower. T56A14 turboprops, each driving a 54H60-77 4-blade constant speed propeller. Length 116 feet 10 inches, height 33 feet 8.5 inches, wingspan 99 feet 8 inches, max wing load 103.8 pounds per square foot, max level speed 411 knots at 15,000 feet, service ceiling 28,300 feet, takeoff run 4,240 feet, landing run 2,770 feet, max endurance 17 hours 12 minutes, 15,000 feet on 2 engines, 12 hours 20 minutes at 15,000 feet on 4 engines. Armament, Harpoon missiles are standard fit on a proportion of U.S. Navy P-3Cs. Weapons can include the Mark 46 torpedo, the Mark 50 torpedo, the Mark 54 depth bomb, B-57 nuclear depth charge, Mark 82 500-pound bomb, Mark 83 1,000-pound bomb, Mark 36 destructor, Mark 40 destructor, LAU-68 A-pod containing 7 2.75-inch rockets, or LAU-69 A-pod containing 19 2.75-inch rockets, or the LAU-10 A or C pod containing 4 5-inch rockets, or an SU-U-44A pod containing 8 flares, a Mark 52 mine, Mark 55 or Mark 56 mine, the Mark 60 torpedo, the AGM-86 Harpoon anti-ship missile, and 2 AIM-9L Sidewinder air-to-air missiles under wing for self-defense. Max total weapon load includes 6 2,000-pound mines under wings, 3,920 kilograms or 7,252 pounds of internal load, which could be 2 Mark 101 depth bombs, 4 Mark 44 torpedoes, pyrotechnic pistol and 12 signals, 87 sonar buoys, 100 Mark 50 underwater sound signals, 18 Mark 3A marine markers, 42 Mark 7 marine markers, 2 Bathy thermograph buoys, and 2 Mark 5 parachute flares. Here we can see, I believe, a Japanese P3. I think that's the Japanese marking there. Very light, but... And here we can see the in-game model. S-70 Seahawk, publication, Jane's Fighting Ships, section, Shipborne Aircraft, country, Australia, title, Sikorsky S-70B2 Seahawk, role, Seahawk SH-60F derivative aircraft designed by Sikorsky to meet Royal Australian Navy specifications for ASW and ASST operations. Specifications, operational speed 135 knots, service ceiling 12,000 feet, range 600 nautical miles. Armament and electronics, weapons, ASW 2 Mark 46 modified torpedoes, ASV 2 Mag 58 MGs, possibly air-to-surface missiles in due course. Sensors, the MEL surface surveillance radar, the CDC sonobuoy processor and BARA side processor, and CAE magnetic anomaly detector set, FLIR and ESM, possibly dipping sonar in due course. Here we can see what does look like an Australian Seahawk. I believe that is a tiny little kangaroo. Hard to see in this low resolution, but, and with all this... Is this JPEG compression? I guess JPEGs might have been out by then. Ugh. And here is the in-game model. And finally, we have the HAS-50 Sea King, publication, Jane's Fighting Ships, section, Shipborne Aircraft, country, Australia, title, Sea King HAS-50/50A, role, utility helicopter embarked periodically for operations from afloat support ships. Specifications, operational speed 125 knots, service ceiling 10,500 feet or 3,200 meters, range 630 nautical miles, armament and electronics, weapons disarmed in 1992 but still capable of torpedo weapon drops. Sensors, 5955 radar, ASQ-13B dipping sonar. Here we can see a Sea King in flight. And here is the in-game model. And that will do it for today. So with that, thank you all for watching and stay tuned for next time and stay safe out there. And we'll see you then.